It's Miles again, showing the components as well as the installation for the Cougar Hall sensor joystick upgrade. You can see here we have two sets of sensors and boards, the spacer with the relief cut for the solder joints, two additional screws that are longer than the stock one because of the thickness of the board, as well as the actual Hall sensors themselves. And you can see the magnets on the inside, and on the back side is the set screws to fasten it, and that's you need a 3/32 Allen wrench for those, as well as a 2.5 millimeter hex wrench for the new screws. Okay, on with the installation. Moving on with the installation, I already have the back cover removed. Everybody knows how to do that, as well as the sensors. The wires are already cut off, and I have one sensor removed. But you'll see the black sensors. You're just going to unscrew those, and there obviously there'll be a wire attached to that. Okay, that'll allow you to pull the sensor out. Sometimes they're a little snug. Okay. There will be a wire attached to that goes under the board. Next thing we'll do is remove the 4 screws. 3 of them are removed for the main board. And at this point, we might as well just go ahead and remove the board completely, just so we're not pulling anything. There will be the sensor removed from here. You'll see it'll be plugged into this position, as well as this sensor will be plugged into this position. Try to grab the white portion itself, not the wires, and key is just a slight wiggling motion back and forth where you're allowed to pull those out. So this is essentially what you'll be left with. Just for ease of installation, I'm going ahead and I'm going to remove both of these connectors, just so I have a nice clean field to work. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the roll, or correction, the pitch sensor. And you can see they both have a 45-degree cutout. And those 45-degree cutouts face each other, so when you move in the upper left-hand position, it gives a little bit more clearance. So it's very important that the 45 goes facing you. You can see how the joystick is positioned. And basically what we have is 2 set screws inside here, and we're just going to take this, and it's a tight fit, and we're going to press it down as far as it goes. Okay, it's pressed down as far as it goes. We're going to make sure it's level, and then we're just going to tighten up the set screws. Doesn't take a lot of tension. Just enough where you start seeing things flex a little. Maybe I'll tighten this one up a little bit more. Yeah, as soon as you get a little bit of flexing, that's plenty tight. Now this particular one for the y-axis, as you can see, there's quite a bit of machining on it, and that's because this was a little bit more difficult to figure something out to go on there. So this one, what we have to do is, you just can't slide it on because it'll hit this rounded portion. So we have to bring it on, hook it on one side first. Once I hook it on that one side, it allows it to rotate over and then back to the center. Now I can tighten my set screws. So I'm going to show that again. I'm going to push it all the way over. It allows me to clear it, to remove it, and to slide it out. You can see the relief cuts here that allow us to do that. So again, down. I'm just going to hook it on it, push it forward. Now we can push it all the way down. Once it's pushed all the way down, we're just going to go ahead and center it up. And you can use I don't know if you can see, but the 2 set screw holes you can use to line up with, to get it, make sure it's centered. Alright, once that's done, we'll go ahead and tighten our set screws. This one is a little bit looser, a little bit more clearance because you had to be able to slide it around, and I didn't want it to be difficult to position. Okay, again, make sure we're pushed all the way down before we do our final tightening. And like you have to go move that way. Okay. Alright, we're nice and tight. Next thing we're going to put on is the boards. The boards are identical, so you can put them on either way. But we do have to use a longer screw. We have a board and a spacer at this point. You can see the relief cut in the spacer, and that's just to allow room for the solder joints. That goes on top. We take our longer screws, and we'll just do one at a time here. Push that through. And this is going to go into the same holes that the sensor was screwed into. Okay, we won't tighten it all the way. And same here. Now we can go ahead and just make sure it's a pretty tight fit, but we just want to make sure it's centered up. Now we go ahead and snug that up. Okay, so now we have our Y sensor and our magnets. I seem to have lost my other stuff. Alright, now we're going to put in the X. Same thing. Our longer screws. We'll get it started with one 2.5 millimeter wrench. Okay, get it started. Leave it a bit loose. And we'll go ahead and tighten them down now. Alright, so now we've just replaced the sensors. The only thing left to do is plug everything back in. Now as we plug it back in, keep in mind that the sensor on the left hand side, as you're looking at it, is going to plug into the left hand side of the board. The sensor on the right hand side is going to plug into the right hand side of the board. Tough to get what you can't see. Okay, once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and hook up my USB again. And followed by our shift registers for all of our buttons. Again, sometimes you have to look at it a few times to make sure you're putting these GSD connectors on right. Hope I'm not in the shadows here. Alright, once that's done, we'll go ahead and just get our wires tucked out of the way. And place the board back in position. Now you'll notice you have a ground. Just make sure the ground is going to be over the nut. Hook in the rest of our cables. And we're looking good. And we just go ahead forward. And put our 4 screws back in. And I'll just go ahead and put these in and spin it right around. Okay, at this point we can turn it around, plug it all in. Want to make sure we get the ground on that one. And plug it in and see what we got. Alright, so here we have our new installation. And we put up our D view, and let's see how it looks. There we go, we're right on. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the, so you can see it's not view raw data. And this one is just, compared to the joystick, was so simple. I mean, bam, right on the left. Let me pull it back so you can see there. So there we are, bam, right to the right, stops, and our pitch, same thing, stops are right at the end. Center right to 50%. That's with no adjustments at all. So that's this one works really nice. And there you have it.